The salvage yard floated at the edge of Trade Station like a metal graveyard. Mountains of broken machines, dead ships, and forgotten technology drifted in the low gravity. Most species called it the dump, called it home. He had worked here for 3 years now. 3 years of sorting through alien trash, finding pieces worth selling, and sending money back to his sister on Earth. It was not a glamorous job. The aliens on the station looked at human salvagers the way people looked at rats. Necessary, perhaps, but not worth respecting. Did not care. He liked the work. Every piece of junk had a story. Every broken machine was a puzzle waiting to be solved. Today, he was digging through a pile that had arrived from the outer colonies. Old stuff. Very old. The manifest said it had been sitting in storage for over 800 years before someone decided to finally throw it away. His partner, an alien named, stood nearby with his 4 arms crossed. Belonged to a species called the... They looked like tall insects with skin and large black eyes. Had worked with for 2 years. He complained constantly, but he was reliable. "You are wasting time," said. His translator made his voice sound flat and bored. "This pile is garbage. They already sorted it centuries ago." "The Miss Things," said. He pushed aside a chunk of melted hull plating. "They only care about stuff they understand. And you think you will understand something they could not." Smiled but did not answer. He kept digging. His hands found something smooth. Metal, but not like the rough alien alloys around it. This was polished, deliberate. He pulled harder, shoving aside broken circuit boards and cracked power cells. A shape emerged from the garbage. It was humanoid. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head with a single dark lens where a face should be. A robot, but not like any robot had ever seen. The design was elegant in a way that felt wrong. Alien technology was usually complex, layers upon layers of systems that humans could barely comprehend. This robot looked almost simple. Clean lines, minimal parts, like someone had built it to last forever and did not care about showing off. Stepped closer, his black eyes widened. "That is an architect relic." Looked up. Architect. A dead species, gone before any of us reached the stars. Their technology is strange, incompatible with modern systems. Shook his head. The Science Council studied that unit decades ago. They declared it debris, non-functional, impossible to activate. Impossible. Dozens of species tried, the best scientists in the galaxy, all failed. Put one of his hands on shoulder. "Leave it. It is not worth the effort." Looked at the robot. Its single lens was dark and dead, but something about it felt different, not broken, just waiting. "I want to take it back to my workshop," he said. Made a sound that his translator could not convert, probably frustration. "You are a fool, a stubborn, foolish human." "Probably," agreed. He started dragging the robot toward his transport cart. That night sat in his small workshop and stared at the robot. The room was cramped. Tools hung on every wall. Spare parts covered every surface. A single window showed the stars outside, cold and distant. He called his sister on the communication screen. Face appeared, tired but smiling. She was on Earth studying alien languages. She was also the person knew. "You found what?" she asked. "An architect robot. The aliens say it is impossible to activate." Laughed. "And you think you can do better than the entire Science Council?" "Maybe," ran his fingers over the robot's chest plate. "There is something strange about its design. It does not look like other alien technology. It looks simpler." Simple does not mean easy. "I know, but everyone who tried before used advanced methods. Quantum interfaces, neural links, energy-based systems." Paused. "What if that is why they failed?" Was quiet for a moment. "You think they were too advanced?" "I think they assumed the answer had to be complicated because they are complicated." Tapped the robot's interface panel. "But look at this. The symbols here, they are not quantum code. They look almost like Binary. Binary? That is ancient. Nobody uses binary anymore. Exactly. Leaned closer to her screen. Her eyes were bright now, curious despite herself. Send me the interface readings. I will look at them tonight. Smiled, thanks. Do not thank me yet. This is probably a waste of time. But she was already reaching for her data pad. After disconnected, sat alone with the robot. The station hummed quietly around him. Somewhere in the distance, alien merchants argued about prices. Ships came and went. Life continued as it always did. He reached out and touched the robot's dark lens. Cold metal, no response. "What are you?" he whispered. "What were you made for?" The robot did not answer. Its lens stayed dark, but felt something. A strange certainty that he could not explain. This machine was not debris. It was not junk. It was something important. The aliens had given up on it. They had labeled it impossible and thrown it away. That was what they did with things they did not understand. They dismissed them, forgot them. But was human. Humans did not forget. They did not give up. They took broken things and fixed them. They took impossible problems and solved them. Not because they were smarter than everyone else, but because they were too stubborn to stop trying. He pulled his toolkit closer and opened the robot's access panel. Inside, circuits gleamed in patterns he had never seen before. Strange, beautiful, completely alien, and yet somehow familiar. Picked up his diagnostic scanner and went to work. The night stretched ahead of him, long and quiet. He did not sleep. He did not rest. He studied every wire, every connection, every symbol carved into the ancient metal. By morning, he had learned nothing useful, but he had also learned that he was right about one thing. This robot was waiting for someone to understand it. 3 weeks passed, barely left his workshop. He ate when he remembered to eat. He slept when his body refused to stay awake. The rest of the time, he studied the robot. Sent him files every day. Research on the architects. Notes on ancient programming languages. Theories about why the robot had never responded to anyone. Most of it was useless, but some pieces helped. The architects had vanished 12,000 years ago. Nobody knew why. They left behind scattered relics across the galaxy, but none of them worked. Scientists had studied these artifacts for centuries. They built entire careers trying to understand them. All of them failed. The common theory was that the architects used technology so advanced that modern species simply could not comprehend it. Their systems operated on principles that no one had discovered yet. But did not believe this theory. The more he studied the robot, the more he doubted it. "The code structure is wrong," he told during one of their calls. "If this was super advanced technology, it would be complex, layered, like systems or networks, but this is not like that. This is linear, step by step, one command leading to the next." Frowned, "That sounds primitive." "It is primitive. That is the point." Pulled up a diagram on his screen. "Look at this." They tried to interface with the robot using quantum processing. They sent thousands of simultaneous commands in parallel threads. The robot rejected all of them because it could not process parallel commands. Exactly. This thing does not think in parallel. It thinks in sequence, one thing at a time. Leaned back in his chair. The aliens failed because they were too advanced. They could not imagine that anyone would build something so simple. Was quiet for a long moment. "So what do you do? Write code like it is the 21st century." "That is exactly what I do." Reached out to an old friend. Had served with him in the Mars Engineering Corps before they both left for different paths. She was a programmer now, one of the best. She specialized in reverse engineering obsolete systems, ancient Earth technology that modern computers had long forgotten how to read. Answered his call from her apartment on Titan. She looked the same as always. Short hair, tired eyes, a cup of coffee permanently attached to her hand. "You want me to help you hack a 12,000-year-old alien robot?" she said flatly. Yes. Using programming techniques from before humans invented space travel. Yes. Took a long sip of her coffee. All right, send me the interface data. They worked together across the vast distance between station and Titan. Wrote code, tested it, they failed, they adjusted, they failed again. 47 times, the robot rejected their attempts. 47 times its lens stayed dark and dead. The other salvagers laughed at, stopped visiting the workshop entirely. The administrators sent messages reminding him that he was wasting station resources on classified debris. They threatened to revoke his salvage license. Ignored all of them. On the 48th attempt, something changed. It was late in the station's night cycle, had not slept in 30 hours, was on the screen, her voice rough with exhaustion. Try the new translation layer, she said. I rebuilt it from scratch, pure sequential logic, no parallel processing at all. Uploaded the code. His fingers shook as he typed the command. A simple phrase, the simplest phrase in programming history. Hello world. For a moment nothing happened. The robot sat in silence like it had for 12,000 years, felt his heart sink. Another failure. Another. The lens flickered. Stopped breathing. The dark lens glowed faintly, a soft blue light pulsing deep inside. Systems hummed to life. Circuits that had been dead began to warm. Whispered, "Are you seeing this?" Recording everything, she replied. Her voice was shaking. Keep going, do not stop. The robot moved, a small motion. Its head turned slightly, the lens focusing on space. Ancient servos creaked with the effort. Then it spoke. A single word in a language no translator could identify. The sound was strange, musical, like bells ringing underwater. Its translation device buzzed with confusion, unable to process the input. But its algorithm caught something. Wait, she said. I am running the audio through my pattern recognition software. There is a structure here. Give me a minute. Stared at the robot. The robot stared back. Its lens pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Got it, said, the word it roughly translates to, finally. Felt tears forming in his eyes. He did not know why. It was just a word, just a machine. But it was also 12,000 years of waiting, 12,000 years of silence. Dozens of species had tried to wake this robot. The greatest minds in the galaxy had declared it impossible, and now it sat in a cramped workshop owned by a human salvager, speaking for the first time since before history began. Hello, said softly, can you understand me? The robot was silent for a long moment. Then its lens flickered again. When it spoke this time, the words came through's translator clearly. Yes, I understand. Your language is simple, easy to learn. A pause. You are not like the others who tried to reach me. What do you mean? The others thought in patterns I could not follow, too many threads, too many paths. Their minds moved in directions mine could not go. The robot's lens brightened slightly. Your mind is different, linear, sequential like mine. Is that good? It is rare. In 12,000 years you are the first. Made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. Do you understand what this means? You just made first contact with a civilization that died before humans existed. Understood. But right now, he did not care about history or science or what this meant for humanity. He only cared about the robot sitting in front of him, the robot that had waited so long for someone to understand. What is your name? He asked. I am designated Sarai. I am a seed unit created by the architects to carry their legacy to worthy inheritors. The robot paused. I have waited 12,000 years for this moment, for someone like you. Why me? Because you did not assume you already knew the answer. You learned, you adapted, you tried again and again until you succeeded. Sarai's lens glowed warmly. The architects would have called this quality precious. I simply call it human. Sat in silence, overwhelmed. Outside his window, the stars burned cold and distant, but for the first time since he arrived on the station, he did not feel alone. "Welcome back, Sorai," he said. News traveled fast on station. By morning, everyone knew that the human salvager had done the impossible. He had awakened an architect relic. His workshop filled with visitors. Scientists wanted to study Sorai, merchants wanted to buy it, officials wanted to confiscate it, turn them all away. "Sorai is not property," he told them. "Sorai is a person." They did not agree. 3 days after Sorai awakened, a group of officials arrived at its door. They wore the silver robes of the station's governing council. Their leader was a tall named counselor. His skin was smooth and perfect. His eyes held the cold certainty of someone who had never been told no. "The unit belongs to this station," said. "It was registered salvage. You had no authority to activate it." Stood in his doorway blocking the entrance. Behind him, Sorai sat quietly watching. "I found Sorai in the garbage," said. "Your people declared it worthless, debris, you threw it away." "We were wrong, that changes nothing. The unit is station property." "Sorai is not a unit. Sorai is sentient. You cannot own a sentient being." His eyes narrowed. "They built this station. We decide what is sentient and what is not." He stepped forward. "Move aside, human, do not make this difficult." Did not move. From behind him, Sorai spoke. "I will not go with you." Froze, he had not expected the robot to speak. For a moment, his cold certainty cracked. "You do not have a choice," he said. "You are property." "I was created by the architects 12,000 years before your species learned to walk upright," Sorai replied. "I have waited longer than your entire civilization has existed. I will choose who I go with, and I choose to stay with." The officials exchanged uncertain looks. They had weapons. They had authority. They had the full power of the station behind them, but none of them had ever dealt with something like Sorai before. His face hardened. "This is not over," he said. He turned and walked away. His officials followed. When they were gone, let out a breath he did not know he was holding. That was close. "It will get worse," Sorai said. "They will return with more force. Others will come too. Word is spreading across the galaxy. Many will want what I carry." Turned to face the robot. "What do you carry? You said you were a seed unit. What does that mean?" Sorai was quiet for a long moment. The blue light in its lens pulsed slowly, thoughtfully. "The architects knew they were dying," Sorai finally said. "A great catastrophe was coming. They could not stop it. So they created seed units like me. We were built to carry their greatest achievements to worthy inheritors, species who would use the knowledge wisely." "What kind of knowledge?" Different seed units carried different things. Some held medical technology, others held energy systems, materials science, agriculture. Sorai paused. "I carry the schematics for something called a null gate." Did not recognize the term. He looked at Sorai with confusion. "What is a null gate?" "A device that allows instantaneous travel between any 2 points in space. Not faster than light. Not wormholes or jump drives. True translocation. Zero travel time across any distance." Felt his heart stop. He understood now why everyone wanted Sorai. Technology like that would change everything. Wars would be fought over it. Empires would rise and fall. "Why did the architects not use it themselves?" he asked. "They did, but the null gate could not save them from what was coming. The catastrophe was not something that could be escaped." Sorai's lens dimmed slightly. "They hoped their legacy would survive even if they did not. They hoped someone worthy would find us. And no one ever did. Many found us, but none could unlock our systems. The architects designed us with a test, a lock that could only be opened by a species that thought the way they thought." Sorai looked at, sequential, linear, patient, willing to learn rather than assume. "You mean primitive?" "I mean wise. Advanced species become arrogant. They believe complexity equals intelligence. They forget that the simplest solution is often the best one. Sorai's lens brightened. Humans have not forgotten, not yet. Sat down heavily. This was too much. He was a salvager, a mechanic. He fixed broken things and sold scrap metal. He was not meant to carry the weight of technology that could reshape the galaxy. I do not know what to do, he admitted. You do not have to know, Sorai said. You only have to keep trying. That is what the architects admired, not perfection, persistence. Before could respond, his communication screen lit up. His face appeared, urgent and afraid. You need to see the news feeds, she said. They have filed a claim with the Galactic Council. They are demanding you hand over Sorai immediately. I know, they were just here. That is not all. The Dominion has announced they are sending a delegation to the station, and the collective is offering to buy Sorai for more money than most planets are worth. His voice shook. Every major power in the galaxy is watching you right now. Looked at Sorai. The robot looked back calmly. What do we do? He asked. We prepare, Sorai said. The architects included a final test within my systems, a challenge that must be completed before I can release the null gate schematics. If you pass this test, the knowledge becomes yours. It cannot be taken by force or by law. And if I fail, then the schematics remain locked forever. Took a deep breath. Outside his workshop, the galaxy was moving. Powers that had ignored humans for centuries were now focused on this one small room. Everything depended on what happened next. Okay, he said, tell me about this test. Sorai's lens glowed. It is a programming challenge, a puzzle built into my core. The architects designed it to identify species who think as they thought. Many have attempted it, all have failed. Because they were too advanced. Because they could not imagine failing, they approached the test expecting to succeed immediately. When they did not, they gave up. Sorai leaned forward slightly. You have failed 47 times just to wake me. You did not stop. You did not surrender. I do not give up easily. I know, that is why I believe you can pass this test. Sorai extended one metal hand. Will you try? Looked at the hand. He thought about everything that had led to this moment. The junkyard, the garbage pile, the robot that everyone said was impossible to fix. He reached out and took Sorai's hand. Let us get started, he said. The test was hard, harder than anything had ever faced. Sorai displayed the challenge on its main screen. It looked simple at first. A series of logic gates, input signals that needed to reach output nodes, basic programming that any first-year student could understand. But the deeper went, the more complex it became. The gates connected in strange ways. Loops folded back on themselves. Solutions that worked for one section broke everything else. This is impossible, said through the communication link. She had been helping for 6 hours straight. Her voice was raw. Every time I fix one path, 3 others collapse. The system is designed to fight back. Keep trying, said. His eyes burned from staring at the screen. His fingers ached from typing. Worked on the linguistic components. The test included symbols that were not pure code. They were words, concepts, ideas that needed to be translated before they could be used. The architects thought differently than us, explained. Their language combines mathematics and philosophy. This symbol here does not mean a number. It means possibility, potential, things that could be but are not yet. How do I code that? Asked. I do not know, but we will figure it out. 3 days passed. The Galactic Council debated. They filed more complaints. The Dominion's delegation arrived at the station. They were not diplomats, they were soldiers. Came to warn. The old alien looked frightened. You need to leave, said. They are here, they do not negotiate, they take what they want. I cannot leave, I am so close. Close to what? Death. Grabs arm with all 4 hands. Listen to me, you are my friend. The only human who ever treated me with respect. I do not want to watch you die for a machine." Looked at Sorai. The robot sat silently, watching the exchange. "Sorai is not just a machine," said, "and this is not just about me. If they get this technology, they will use it to conquer everything. Every species in the galaxy will suffer. And if you get it, then it belongs to humanity. We share it. We use it to help people, not hurt them." Put his hand on shoulder. "I have to try." His black eyes shimmered. He said nothing for a long moment. Then he nodded. "I will watch the corridors. Buy you time if they come." "Thank you." The alien left, turned back to his screen. 90% complete, just a little more. Shouted through the link. "I found something, the loop structure. It is not a bug, it is intentional. The system wants you to break the loop by accepting failure." "What do you mean?" "The architects built in dead ends, paths that cannot succeed. The test is not about solving everything. It is about recognizing what cannot be solved and moving on." Typed rapidly. Every other species got stuck trying to fix the unfixable. They could not accept that some problems have no solution. Understood. He started cutting the dead paths, letting go of solutions he had spent hours building. It felt wrong. Every instinct told him to keep trying, to never give up. But sometimes, giving up on the wrong answer was the only way to find the right one. 95%. Cracked another symbol. This one means trust, not blind faith. Earned trust, trust built through action. How does that translate to code? It is a verification loop. The system wants proof that you have done what you claim. You cannot lie to it. You have to show your work. Added the verification protocols. The system accepted them. 98%. The station shook. Somewhere in the distance, alarms began to wail. His voice crackled through the intercom. "They are coming." The broke through the security doors. "You have minutes." His hands flew across the keyboard. 2%, just 2%. "I need the last symbol, now." "I am working on it. Give me 30 seconds." "We do not have 30 seconds." The door to his workshop exploded inward. Soldiers poured through the gap. They were massive creatures built like walking tanks. Their armor gleamed black. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. The commander stepped forward. His face was hidden behind a helmet, but his voice was cold and clear. "Step away from the machine, human." Did not move. Behind him, Sorai's lens glowed bright. "I cannot do that." "Then you will die." The commander raised his weapon. "Got it," screamed through the link. "The last symbol, it means gift, something given freely without expectation of return." Typed. His fingers moved faster than they ever had. Gift, trust, possibility. The concepts flowed into code, crude and desperate but real. The commander fired. Sarai moved, faster than anything that old should be able to move. The robot threw itself between and the energy blast. Metal screamed as the shot tore through Sarai's shoulder. "Finish it," Sarai said. Smoke poured from the wound. "I will hold them." Typed. The soldiers fired again and again. Sarai blocked the shots, taking damage that should have destroyed it. But the robot would not fall. 12,000 years of waiting had made it strong. One line of code remained. His vision blurred. His hands shook. Everything depended on this moment, every failure, every sleepless night, every person who had ever called him a fool. He pressed enter. The screen flashed green. A sound filled the room. Not an alarm, not a weapon, something else, something ancient and beautiful. Sarai's lens blazed with light brighter than any star. "Test complete," Sarai announced. "Inheritance recognized. Transmitting null gate schematics to all registered human vessels, stations, and colonies." The commander froze. "No, stop the transmission, stop it now." "I cannot," Sarai said. "The knowledge has been given freely. It cannot be taken back." On screen, confirmation messages flooded in. Earth, Mars, Titan, the colony ships in deep space. Every human system in the galaxy was receiving the schematics simultaneously. The commander screamed with rage. He aimed his weapon at its head. If we cannot have it, neither will you. Sori stepped forward, placing its damaged body in front of one last time. You have already lost. Killing him changes nothing. For a long moment, no one moved. The soldiers waited for orders. The commander's weapon trembled in his grip. Then's voice crackled through the station speakers. Security forces incoming. All unauthorized personnel will be detained. The head finally acted. Too late to stop the transmission, but early enough to save life. The commander lowered his weapon. His voice was filled with hatred. This is not over, human. Then he turned and walked away. His soldiers followed. Collapsed against his console, his whole body shook. Sori knelt beside him, damaged but alive. You did it, Sori said. Looked at the robot. Smoke still rose from its wounds. Its lens flickered weakly. The galaxy did not know how to react. For 3 days after the transmission, every major news network talked about nothing else. The null gate schematics were real. Human scientists confirmed it within hours. The technology worked exactly as Sori had promised. Instantaneous travel across any distance. The laws of physics, broken like glass. And it belonged to humanity. Not to they who had ruled Station 4, not to the Dominion who had conquered 100 worlds, not to the collective who had accumulated wealth beyond counting. It belonged to a species that most of the galaxy had dismissed as primitive, newcomers, children playing at being adults. The Galactic Council convened emergency sessions. They demanded that humans share the technology immediately. They argued that such power could not belong to one species alone. It was too dangerous, too important. Counselor stood before the assembled representatives and made his case. His voice was calm and reasonable, but his words carried a threat beneath them. Humans are young. They do not understand the responsibility that comes with this technology. For the good of all species, the null gate must be placed under galactic control. The human ambassador rose to respond. Her name was Park, and she had been chosen specifically for this moment. She was not a politician. She was a teacher from the colony on Europa, someone ordinary, someone real. The architects did not give this technology to the galaxy, she said. They gave it to humanity, not because we are better or stronger or smarter, because we think differently. We earned this. Earned it? His voice sharpened. A salvager found a broken machine and got lucky. That is not earning anything. Smiled. With respect, counselor, your own scientists studied that machine for decades. They declared it impossible. They threw it away. She paused. Spent 47 nights failing before he succeeded. He never gave up. He never assumed he knew better than the machine. That is not luck. That is humanity. The debate continued for weeks, but in the end, it did not matter. The schematics were already spreading. Human engineers were already building the first prototype gates. By the time the council finished arguing, humanity had already changed the galaxy. Watched it all from his workshop on Station. He had become famous. The most famous human in history, some said. News networks wanted interviews. Governments wanted to honor him. Companies wanted to hire him. He turned them all down. I did not do this for fame, he told during one of their calls. I did it because Sori was broken and I wanted to fix it. Laughed. You fixed more than a robot, you changed everything. I know, that is what scares me. Sori sat nearby, listening. The robot had been repaired after the attack. New parts replaced the damaged ones, but scars remained. Metal plates that did not quite match. A lens that flickered sometimes when it should have stayed steady. You should not be scared, Sori said. You should be proud. I do not feel proud, I feel overwhelmed. That is normal. The architects felt the same way when they first created the null gate. Sori's lens glowed softly. Great change is always frightening, but it is also necessary. Arrived at the station a week later, she had taken leave from her work on Titan to visit in person. When she walked into his workshop, she looked around at the cluttered space and shook her head. "You could afford a palace now. Why do you stay here?" Shrugged, "This is home." They sat together and watched the stars through the small window. Somewhere out there, the first null gate was being tested. Ships were preparing to travel distances that would have taken years in seconds. The universe was getting smaller. "What happens now?" asked. "I do not know, nobody knows," leaned back in his chair. "The architects gave us this gift because they trusted us. They believed we would use it wisely. I hope they were right. And if they were wrong, then we learn from our mistakes and try again. That is what humans do." Came by later that day. The old alien had been promoted for his help during the attack. He was now head of salvage operations for the entire station, but he still made time to visit his human friend. "They are furious," reported. "They cannot believe they threw away the most valuable artifact in history." "They did not throw it away," said. "They gave up on it. There is a difference." "Is there?" Nodded. "Giving up means you stop trying. Throwing away means you never cared in the first place." He looked at Sarai. "They cared. They just could not figure it out. So they convinced themselves it was impossible and moved on." "And you did not." "I could not." Something about Sarai felt right, like it was waiting for me specifically. Smiled. "Maybe that sounds crazy." "It does sound crazy," agreed. "But I have learned not to doubt you." Months passed. The first null gates went online. Travel across the galaxy, once a journey of years, now took moments. Trade flourished. Communication improved. Species that had never met began to exchange ideas. There were problems too. New technology always brought new conflicts. Some species resented humanity's sudden rise to power. Others tried to steal or copy the gate technology. Wars threatened to break out. But humanity navigated each crisis. Not perfectly, not without mistakes, but persistently, patiently, one problem at a time. Stayed on station. He turned down every offer to lead projects or advise governments. Instead, he returned to salvage work. There were always broken things that needed fixing. There were always puzzles waiting to be solved. Sarai stayed with him. The robot had completed its original purpose, but it chose to remain, not as a tool or a relic, but as a friend. One evening, as the station's lights dimmed for the night cycle, Sarai asked a question. "Why did you never give up on me?" Thought about it for a long moment. "Where I come from, we do not throw things away just because they are broken. We fix them. Even when it seems impossible. Especially when it seems impossible. That is when fixing something matters most." Sarai processed this answer. The robot was quiet for a long time. When it finally spoke, there was something in its voice that sounded almost like warmth. "The architects would have liked your kind." Smiled and looked out at the stars. Billions of them scattered across the darkness, each one now within reach. "Maybe that is why they waited for us," he said. Outside the window, a ship flickered and vanished. The null gate had activated, carrying travelers to the other side of the galaxy in the blink of an eye. The future had arrived, and for the first time in 12,000 years, it belonged to someone who would not give up on it. "We did it," he corrected. "Yes, we did. Thank you. It is good to finally be awake." Intended to be that someone.